Now I'm going to show you how to find outlier using standard deviation. Now this particular method, it is well suited for when your data has normal distribution. In other words, the distribution curve of your data has a bell shaped, something like this right here. Also, when your data has continuous values and when you have a large data set, not for the smaller data set, but for the large data set. So the idea is this. Since most of your data, it should lie around your average value, around your mean value. So any data that actually lies far from your mean value, that would be a candidate for your outlier. Those points would be your outliers. And these data points, they would be lying towards either to your extreme left or extreme right of your distribution curve. Now, there is a famous rule in statistics. It's called empirical rule, and this is only applicable for normal distribution. It says that 68% of your data, it is going to lie between mu minus sigma and mu plus sigma, where mu is your average, your mean value, and your sigma is your standard deviation. Likewise, 95% of your data, it is going to lie between mu minus 2 sigma and mu plus 2 sigma. And 99.7% of your data is going to lie between mu minus 3 sigma and mu plus 3 sigma. So since this one is going to contain 99.7% of my data, that's where all my values, majority of my values lies. So I can safely say that, you know what, I'm going to take any value that lies outside this range or in this range. Okay, these would be my outlier. Here, typically, you choose a standard deviation of 3. Not necessarily. You can actually use a standard deviation maybe less than that. You can actually use a standard deviation maybe 2.3 sigma. So in this case, you can say, okay, any value that lies in this one, that will be outlier. And likewise, any value that lie in this area, that would be my outlier. So let's try to find outlier in this data right here. So this is the student names right here, and these are the scores. This could be age, this could be income, this could be any data. So this is the data right here, and these are students. This is the score, students, and score. So to find the outlier, I actually write my data like this first, just for convenience. And here I find my average value. My mean value comes out to be 48.28. And I also find my standard deviation comes out to be this. I'm assuming you know how to find standard deviation and your mean value. So let's say my threshold is 3 sigma, this one right here. So in this case, any value that lies outside the range of mu minus 3 sigma, that would be this right here, any value that lies over here, and any value that lies outside this mu plus 3 sigma, that would be this value. These are my outliers. Well, let's calculate that. So in this case, mu minus 3 sigma would be mu minus 3 sigma. Okay, and then you also calculate mu plus 3 sigma, and your answer comes out with 22.69 and 73.87. So this value is 22.69 and this value over here is 73.87. So any number that is lying in this side or lying this side, these are my outliers. Well, if you look at your data right here, there is only two values that are actually lying outside this range, and that would be 74 and 75. That's it. So 74 and 75, these are my outliers when I choose my threshold as 3 sigma. On the other hand, if I choose my threshold to be 2.3 sigma, then the values outside the range of mu minus 2.3 sigma and mu plus 2.3 sigma, they would be my outlier. Well, substitute your value of mu and 2.3 and sigma in there. So I substitute the values in there, and the answer comes out to be 28.66 and 67.89. So my threshold, that would be something like this. This would be 28.66, okay, 66, and this would be somewhere over here. This would be 67.89. So any values that are in this range, any value that is larger than 67.89 or smaller than 28.66, these are my outliers. But in this case, you can see that this will be 28, this is your outlier, and 31. These are your outlier. And likewise over here, you can see that 68, 74, and 75, these are my outlier because they fall outside the range of these numbers. Now, sometimes in the literature, you may find some people they use z-score to calculate outliers. Well, that's essentially the same thing as your standard deviation. It's a two-step process, by the way. So step one, you convert your data into z-score. And what z-score is, it measures how many standard deviation your data is away from the mean value. And then step number two, you set up a threshold. So maybe you pick up like 3 or maybe a number closer to 3, and then you can say that, hey, if my absolute value of my z is more than the threshold, then I will consider that as an outlier. So when you convert your data into z-score, this is how your normal distribution curve will look like. So this, your mean will actually become z equal to 0, and z equal to 1, this will be one standard deviation, z equal to 2, that will be two standard deviation. So you will have z equal to 1, 2, 3, and likewise z equal to -1, -2, -3 over here. So let's say you pick up a threshold of 3. So any value that falls in this range, okay, these would be your extreme or unusual values. Another word for that is outlier values. And likewise, any value that falls in this range, that is where your z is more than 3, these would be your outliers right here. So suppose you have to find the outlier for the same data, and let's say this is my data right here. I'm just writing this data over here. So first step is convert your data into z-score. In order to convert your z-score, by the way, this is the formula that is used to convert your x into z-score. You need to know your mean value. You need to know your standard deviation. Well, you can find your mean value is 48.28 and standard deviation is 8.53 for this data right here. Okay, so let's convert our data into mean into z-score. So let's take the first point. That would be 28. So the way you do, you convert 28 into z-score by using this formula. So in this particular instance, this will become 28 minus 48.28, that's your mean value, divided by the standard deviation 8.53, and the answer comes out to be minus 2.38. So this 28, the z-score is minus 2.38. Okay, let's look at the next one, 31. That would be this one. So in this case, you say 31, that would be this, minus the mean value divided by the standard deviation right here. And this will be again using the same formula. So basically, you just using the same formula to every single point, and this is how you calculate your z-score for each and every corresponding point. So after the conversion, this is how my z-score will look like for this particular data right here. By the way, I just sorted this data so that it's easy to visualize. Okay, so you can see that 28, it changes to minus 2.38, 31 changes to minus 2.03, and likewise rest of the values. So step 2, now let's define our threshold. So let's say I define my threshold to be 3. So any value, any z value that is smaller than minus 3 or greater than plus 3, that would be this range right here. Any value that actually falls in this area, those are your outliers. Well, you can look over here, 3.01 and 3.13. Only these two values, they actually satisfy this criteria. So in this case, your 3.01, that would be this value. This one would be corresponding to this 74. And likewise, 3.13, that would be 75 right here. So these are my outliers, 74 and 75. These are my two outliers. Now, if I change my threshold, let's say I change my threshold to 2.3. So in this particular instance, then my detected outliers would be different. So any value that is z less than minus 2.3 or z greater than 2.3, that would be, let's say, something like this. Okay, let's say any z that falls in z less than minus 2.3, and any z that is over than 2.3 plus 2.3, that would be an outlier. You can see that in this instance, you will have this one, this one, this one, and also one more, that would be this one right here. So now you have the corresponding value for that would be 28. Okay, and then you have three values over here, the last three, that would be this one right here. So these are my outlier values. So minus 2.38, that would be 28, and for 2.31, this is the z-score, and this is the actual value. So these are my corresponding outlier points, all of them. So a student had asked me a long time ago, which method should we use? Should we use IQR method or a z-score method? Well, your IQR method, it is best for when your data is skewed or when you have a small data set, and also when you do not know your distribution of your data set. Also, when your data is ordinal or when it is not strictly continuous. For example, look at this data. This is not strictly continuous. So in this case, you want to use your IQR method. Z-score method is normally suited for normally distributed data, and also if your data is continuous and has a large values. For example, like take a look at this one, 1.12, 2.34. These are all continuous values.